Good morning. Good morning to you. And I got a really red nose. Red nose. Right there. This is a technology implanted in my nose. Maybe so others can see what I see. So when I look at something, there's a technology that others can look at it too. Kind of like, the glasses with cameras on them. Sunglasses with cameras. I think Ray-Ban has some of those. So, yeah, this technology's been around for a while. I just don't like it when it, when who's they? When they put it in my nose, because it bothers me. So, if you're gonna do that, right, your objective normally wouldn't be to kind of irritate your target, right, the subject. You want it to be low key, right? So you're not necessarily trying to give the person a red shiner on their nose. Speaking of which, I don't know, I was in the bathroom last night. And I don't know, there's a couple guys in there. There's one pissing in the regular pisser. Maybe there's at least two. I thought three, but maybe there's only two. One pissing in the regular pisser and another pissing in the toilet. So I went to the second stall. And I was kind of taking my time, because people wipe shit on the toilet seat. So there's not a lot of shit on the toilet seat, but there's some. So I pretty much dipped toilet paper inside the toilet and then cleaned off the seat. So it's really taking my time before you sit down. So there's, a couple guys I know that are talking to themselves and saying, hey man, hey, or what's up? I thought they were talking to themselves. Might have been talking to me. I don't fucking know. I usually don't talk to people that are strangers that I've never seen before in the bathroom. Anyways, the last guy leaves and he cuts out the light, so it's dark inside. So I guess that was supposed to annoy me. Kind of did. Kind of annoyed me. Kind of like middle school kind of stuff, I guess. I don't know who the fellows were. Kind of childish, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's pretty childish. If you got something to say to me, say it to me. I'm right here. But if I actually knew you were talking to me, I guess I could have went out of the stall and said hello. Anyways, that was yesterday evening. That kind of got under my skin, to be honest. Like, who in the fuck are these guys? Just a couple white guys. Working class. With the proper haircuts, Proper haircut is not this. A proper haircut is cut not like a Hitler haircut or a Nazi haircut or a fascist haircut, but it's like a proper haircut is, a lot of people have in the world proper haircuts, which is fine. I'm not ashamed of my hair. It can definitely be messy sometimes. I'm not ashamed of how I look. But I don't want to look like a scumbag, you know. Yeah, proper haircuts, proper dress. You know, I'm dressed really proper and my haircut's proper. So it's kind of a weird thing that happened yesterday. Yeah, there's people down the hall that they are pigs though. I never dirty up that bathroom. There's literal pigs, not literal, but people, but they're constantly putting their trash in the trash can there from their room or whatever. You know, the other day they dumped some soup in the sink. The sinks were out of order and they just dumped their soup in there. So it's like they're purposely kind of filthy pigs, and it's like they do it on purpose. Seems like that's annoying, because, you know, just put your trash in the trash outside. You know, don't put it in the bathroom in the public space. Just keep it clean. Yeah, haircut. Yeah, haircut. A lot of people have proper haircuts. You know, I followed a few people, and, you know, when they kind of, the more wild, rebellious, they'll have long hair. And then when you want to fit in more, you just cut your hair. But I can see short hair on a boy, on a man, make a man look like a boy sometimes, not all the time. But sometimes when I look at a person, past and present, and presently they have short hair, and in the past they had long hair. Sometimes, yeah, I'll say, hey, this person now looks like a little proper boy with boy shorts on or something. You know what I mean, like school shorts. That's the kind of vibe I get sometimes. Hey, you cut your hair, and you know, now you're real prim and proper. You know, the Indians, I think the Indians would scalp people, but to them their hair was their pride. They had a lot of pride in their hair. That's why they didn't cut their hair, really. And this goes back to you know, they had scouts that would find people, but they weren't actually using their skills. They were using their senses more than their actual learned skills, right? So their senses were actually, they trained themselves to use their senses, and which was the hair. So when they cut their hair, their ability to scout was not as good as it was. So when the United States personnel, when they would get these scouts, they said, hey, don't cut their hair, because they would cut their hair to look like everybody else, right? But they said don't do that, because when they did that, they would lose their skills, their ability to you know, track or trace or whatever, which is what they were doing. So there's definitely some esoteric or metaphysical properties to hair, right? And this, you can go back to the Vril Society, which had these females, whether you want to believe it or not, but grow their hair really long, and they were picking up signals, supposedly, from other planets and whatnot, like an antenna. So, yeah, so hair, but you don't want it to be messy, you know, you don't want it to be, you don't want your hair, you don't want to walk around looking like a dirty mop. But you can, you know, there's dreads, you know, people really get into that, the whole dread thing, and they get, you know, that can get kind of extreme. This guy, man, right here in the trash can. Let me see, I can't turn this camera around. Actually, I can, but I won't. This guy digging in the trash. Digging in the trash, pants falling down halfway. Let's see if I can show this real quick. Digging in the trash, showing your ass that nobody wants to see. Trying to record a video and anyways. Maybe you got some good shit in there. Maybe I'll just go join in. But you usually don't want to interrupt somebody when they're digging in the trash. Let them have their take, and then you go after. That's proper etiquette for dumpster diving. You don't want two men in a dumpster. You don't want two men in a dumpster. That happened before, you know. I was at work, and my coworker, he dove in the dumpster, and I was outside, and I didn't want to look like I wasn't doing anything, because I couldn't reach in because he was in there and he was at the bottom, so I couldn't really reach in and get stuff too, so he was kind of doing all the work. I didn't want to stand there and look like, hey, I'm not working. So I dove in with him, you know, and then the dumpster started rolling. So there's two guys in a dumpster, and it was rolling. There's nobody to stop it from rolling. So I think he said, hey, get out, or don't do that, or something like that. But don't ever do that, or don't do what I don't tell you to do. Some, you know, once again, a statement that got under my skin, you know, a little bit, not a lot. Don't ever do what I don't tell you to do. Okay, sir. Don't do what you don't tell me to do. But I didn't want to look, you know, I didn't want to look like I was, here's some New Zealand sheep. There's one black sheep in there. So I didn't want to, so I just let, you know, I went out and I dove back out of the dumpster, and I quit that day. Actually, I quit work. I quit my job that day, that very day. I walked off. After we got done dumpster diving, we went to a backyard to remove gravel that was dug in to the ground, pretty much dug in well. and it was already 2 o'clock. It was literally 100 degrees outside, and I walked. That was the last day I worked at that job, but it was a pretty decent gig for the most part. You know, a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of light lifting too. But just a lot of lifting. Sweat every day at work. Break a sweat. Break a sweat, as they say, break a sweat. Yeah, so yesterday, let's go back through the day, or the evening. So yeah, I had the bathroom, the boys in the bathroom. Then, let's see, kind of felt disturbed. I'm like, hey, am I under attack by some spiritual entity, or what's going on? I don't feel comfortable. What could it be? So I got the tourmalated quartz, which is black tourmaline. It's just black tourmaline and quartz. It's actually one of my favorite stones. So tourmaline is kind of grounding. Oh, you see all the shards there? Let's see if you can see that. So it's quartz, but with a lot of shards, and it kind of reminds you of hair, right? Somebody's black hair. I really do like this stone. And then I have a little rose quartz centerpiece here in the center. I'll show it to you. There's a little rose quartz there with the tourmaline. So the rose quartz will bring that touch of warmth, you know, that force, while the tourmaline will kind of ground everything and catch things, you know, not necessarily, you know, catch things. So, you know, when I think of tourmaline, it catches things. So like if you listen to music, it'll catch, you know, things. And Amazonite kind of does the same thing. Amazonite kind of puts you in sync a little bit more in the flow, you know. If there's like some kind of stagnation, you know, Amazonite kind of lets it flow. So does malachite, though. Malachite will shake things up. Malachite will shake things up when there's stagnation. It does work with the heart chakra. So malachite is good for that, and I have that too, you know. But anyways, I just pulled out the tourmaline rose quartz with a touch of rose quartz, not too much. Yeah, and let's see, police. So I started going on Twitter, you know, police. So I guess in Tennessee, there's issues with riots. So Tennessee is having some issues. Tennessee is having issues. so a couple body cams were released yesterday. So, you know, news you can't get away from. You know, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because all the world's shit is constantly fucking with your vibe, right? Fucking with your life. Hey, did you hear about this? Hey, did you know? Aren't you angry? Don't you have an opinion? Well, no, I don't have an opinion. No, I didn't fucking hear about it. You know? Why the fuck do I have to hear about the whole... Why do you have to hear about the whole world? How is that going to help you? How is that going to help your life? How can you use that to fix your shit? So no, I didn't hear about the whole fucking whatever. I didn't hear about it. I don't know about it. Why? Do you want me to know about that? What can I do about it? Right? So, you know, I'm sometimes talking a lot about stuff, but I don't, you know, hey, did you hear, do you know about that? You know, I do that, right? I talk about Elizabeth, right? My sister. I think people should know if there's a gang of, you know, Satanists, cannibals on the loose, and they're not behind bars, they're out there, right? I talk about that because I think it's irrelevant, right? So, but yeah, every day there's some news, right? There's some bullshit on TV. Whether it's fake bullshit, real bullshit, there's always some bullshit out there. And there's always people talking about it. To what end? They're going to talk to what end? Well, the point of talk and spreading information is to make people act, so you can act on that information. Now, if you can't act or don't act, why are you talking about it? Are you trying to get others to act? Hey, did you see this, what happened? Don't you want to do something about it? Don't you want to act? Come on, join the act. So yeah, there's now the whole George Floyd thing was a psyop. It was politically motivated. You know, running up to the 2016 election, there was endless psyops. There was a gay nightclub shooting, right? Do you remember that in 2016? And there's a lot of phoniness, of fake stories, right? So everybody's kind of primed, right? You know, it's like people are looking for an excuse to riot, to tear down shit. I mean, it happened in 2020, and they realized, hey, nobody's going to stop us. We can loot. You know, Target set up a mural for black people. So you can loot, and then you get special treatment because you looted the store. And we're gonna set up a mural for looters, which is what Target did pretty much. So yeah, it's kind of like there's a primed, or America's kind of primed for this, and they've been allowed to get away with it by Homeland Security, by the feds, you know, by the military kneeling, right? So the military or the media, they create these psyops, they stage the psyop, and then they act like, hey, we're on your side. We you know. So it's really not easy to try to make sense of, but you got to figure, okay, the media staged the George Floyd incident, right? That means they wanted the riots. They wanted that everything that happened, they wanted. They didn't stop it. They they let it happen. Homeland Security let it happen, right? So where is Homeland Security in all this? You know, I know where they were created after 9/11. They were shoved through with the dual citizen Chertoff, the first guy in charge there, dual Israeli citizen. You know, there's a lot of people who say Israel did 9/11 and that the dual citizen Chertoff blocked real investigations into it. You know, no airplanes were used in 9/11. So their Homeland Security is pretty much they're the legislative side of enslaving America. But they have this, you know, all these SWAT teams and guys with guns who don't do anything when there's violence, when there's upheaval. They do nothing. So they wanted that in 2020. Yeah, and yesterday there was 2 body cams videos released. One from, I guess, 4 or 5 cops, black cops beat up another, a black kid. I don't know if he was underage or 18 and over. And he died a couple days after, you know, he died in the hospital of injuries, right? A lot of news coming out about that, who the cops were, the officers were. They're all suspended, they're all fired, and they're all being charged. So that's that, right? I mean, and yeah, supposedly they were part of this squad that was, you know, you can read about it. They're part of something, some kind of police special, like they're part of a unit, a gang unit, but they were like a gang themselves, basically, right? And they were harassing people. And I get it if you got to clean up shit and you got to enforce it, and you got people against the police. I totally get it that if shit's out of order, you got to have order, whether it's citizens themselves doing it or the police. The fact of the matter is somebody's going to do it. It has to do it. They're going to have to do it. Or you can just let the criminals run shit, all right? Either you run it and you have order, or you let criminals destroy everything. Which kind of looks like what, you know, maybe they want to happen in, like in San Francisco, you know, where they just make it so it's legal to walk out and rob, you know, just steal, make it legal to steal. It's almost like they're passing laws that, you know, help criminals, which is exactly what's happening, right? So they are passing laws to make crime legal, to make crime. I mean, this happened in Illinois, right? So it's not really even about police versus blacks versus the police, right? Or black police versus black. I mean, black versus police versus black. You know. But they're trying to legalize crime, right, in Illinois, and I think they're just trying to take away guns in Illinois too. So they legalize crime, then they try to disarm everybody. So, yeah, that's orchestrated without a doubt, right? So that you can't say, well, that's clear orchestration, that's clear intent to legalize crime. When you know you're trying to legalize crime. You actually kind of have. You have legalized it in San Francisco. You can steal up to a certain amount, and the security won't stop you. Police won't do anything, because they just enforce the law, right? Hey, well, the law says you can do that, so go ahead. We'll write you a ticket. You know, what's your address? I don't know. Yeah, you can steal. And yeah, Chicago felonies, you shoot somebody, as long as they're not dying, you know, you just get out on bail, as long as they survive, something like that, right? So we're seeing this kind of craziness in legislation, this crazy legislation being passed, and at the same time you have, I don't know if this, I mean, what happened with this guy's, but I know George Floyd was a psyop, but, you know, I really don't know. I just saw this last night about this whole, yeah, so two body cams were released. Nancy Pelosi, and people are saying that was staged with her husband, and I don't know if he's homosexual or hammer. And another body cam was released with these police, or it looked like a car cam actually, or maybe somebody videotaped it, I don't know. And you know, at the same time, you got to put everything in context. You know, is one thing a smokescreen for Pfizer, you know, from people dropping dead from you know, news coming out from Pfizer. So are they covering their ass with these smoke screens? I don't know. You know, you got one thing going on over here, and then you got a lot of smoke. Hey, look over here. Look at all this smoke. So you got to kind of keep all that in mind when you hear news. And, you know, if you kind of realize a lot of it doesn't mean it's all staged and faked, but a lot of it in the past has been staged and faked by the government itself. So you got to kind of keep that in mind anytime you hear any news, actually. Is it staged? Is it fake? Is it real? You know. So yeah, now you have the weekend. I don't know if there's riots in LA or New York, or I don't know. Are the black people burning shit down again? I don't know. Is Homeland Security, what do they want for America? I mean, if I got a gun and I got a badge and a job, and it's my job to protect, I mean, and I got a small little army, shouldn't I be doing what I'm supposed to do? I mean, if you give me a paycheck and tell, hey, you know, hey, Isaiah, just do your job, or, you know, if I don't do my job, I'm going to get canned, you know. So you have whole SWAT teams, you know, they're going after January 6th people and political prisoners and whatnot in America. So I don't know, I guess their hands are tied. They just can't do anything, you know, even though it's your job. It's why you exist. It's why, you know, you get money, government funding from taxpayers. But if you don't do that job, well, people are going to have to do it themselves. Citizen patrols, whatever. Right? You can't let people terrorize your city or your neighborhood. That's exactly what happened in 2020. That's exactly what Homeland Security allowed, the feds allowed. It was all allowed. So it doesn't matter if it's a psyop or if it's whatever, you just can't allow it, you know? You got kids, you got whatever, your house, property. You just can't allow that shit. You should never allow that. So, ever. So, yeah, who disallows that? Well, if the police don't do that, you know, if the media has a war on the police with the George Floyd, whether it's politically motivated, well, fuck the media, you know? The media is not your friend. They're not the friend of America or Russia or Syria. They're really not anybody's friend. Maybe Israel. Maybe the Chinese. I don't know. But really, they're not anybody's friend. They really don't. They're really just not good. You know, they're organized. The media is organized. Make no doubt about it. They're not independent. They're organized. They're told what to say, what to push, you know, so. You know, like the Christchurch shooting in New Zealand, right after that happened, after that happened, I mean, New Zealand sheep, they said, turn in your guns. Turn in your guns. Turn in your guns. See, why are people rioting? I don't know. Well, blacks. Well, I mean, why are blacks doing that? Right? They have a history of rioting. Of burning stuff down, looting. I mean, Koreans don't really have that. Japanese don't really have that. Chinese don't really have that in America. But it seems like black people do that a lot. And then they're encouraged by communists, right? And communists love this violence. Like in South Africa, you know, with Nelson Mandela, who a lot of people think is a hero, a great guy. They loved, you know, the communists, whether they're non-black, the globalist communists, right? Behind the scenes, they love that, you know. Right now in South Africa, you know, I don't know what's going on there, but there were a lot of farm murders where blacks would, you know, rape, torture to death the Dutch Boer farmers. Horrible way to die. And they're farmers. They create food. So I know some places in Africa are starving. Maybe they don't know how to farm. Maybe whatever reason, this, that, the other. Maybe it's Whitey's fault. But yeah, and the Dutch, they learned how to farm South Africa and eat, right? So if the blacks take over the farms in South Africa, they kill the farmer. Hey, it's, you know, thousands of years of oppression for this black person, and they you know, so they rape and torture the family to death, and they got their farm now, but they don't farm it. They just take it, but they don't farm or create anything. They don't create any food. So if that keeps happening, then you're going to starve. Then you're going to be just like your other African brothers. And you're going to be hungry. So don't do that. Don't kill white farmers in South Africa, because they're creating food, right? Stop doing that. Yeah, South Africa, they have their own situation going on. And I think white communities, they have created some white communities in South Africa that keep it white, right? And I hear they're doing really well. Maybe, is it in South Africa or is it around the area? They're doing really well. So yeah, that's what's going on, I guess. If you allow crime and communists to rule over you, I guess they will. And it's happening now in South Africa. You don't want it to happen where you are. You shouldn't ever give up your guns, because a transsexual like Jacinda Ardern told you to, or the media, the controlled media, told you to give up your guns. You know, Israel has never given up their guns, Israeli citizens. But New Zealand citizens decided to give up their guns because the media told them to. Now, we don't know who runs the media. We can't say that. We don't know. But we do know that the media didn't want people in New Zealand to have arms. They wanted to disarm the people, the sheep in New Zealand with their PSYOP, which they did with the Christchurch shooting. And then they said, hey, give us your guns. And the guy who, the PSYOP, he wasn't even from New Zealand. He wasn't a native New Zealand, but they want the New Zealanders to give up their guns because somebody from somewhere else came here and shot somebody, if you believe the story. So since somebody else from somewhere else came and shot some people, we need you to give up your guns. So that's the media. They don't work for the people of New Zealand. Maybe they're sympathetic towards Israelis or Israel. But I think they pretty much hate everybody else. And yeah, they want to rule over you. They want to disarm you and rule over you. And you turning in your means to defend yourself is part of that equation. And I guess that's it. It's 40 minutes.